Hello, and welcome to the International Student Podcast by Prodigy Finance. Today, we have a very special guest join us. We have Eshwar. Eshwar is a master's graduate from the Indiana University and is here today just to talk to us about his international student journey.
Yes, indeed. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us, Eshwar. So, firstly, I noticed a shirt in the background of your video. Is that an Arsenal shirt?
Yes, I'm a Gooner for life. I've been supporting Arsenal since I think my fourth standard, since I was like 10 years old. So,
Amazing. How are they doing in the in the league so far?
I mean, so far, so good. Improvement over many previous years, but not there yet. Still not going to get the title this year. So let's see.
Ishwa, so besides supporting Arsenal, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah. So, like Cindy, you mentioned, I just recently finished my master's from IU Kelley School of Business in Information Systems. And I've been working at this company called Eli Lilly. They're a pharma company for the last 2 years as a AWS cloud engineer with them. So prior to that, I was working in Amazon India. I did my undergrad from India. I was born in India. I'm from Chennai, if you know where that is. It's like a
Yeah.
southern coastal town near in India. So yeah, that's basically it. I went through different life trajectories, studied economics, worked in supply chain, studied tech, working in cloud. So I've been taking different paths all my life. That's led me here so far.
Super. Where did you study your undergrad?
I went to Shiv Nadar University. It's in Delhi, Noida region. Yeah, there I did my BSc in economics. So kind of different from a BA economics, which is usually a 3 years degree. This one was a 4 year degree. So, yeah.
And why did you choose to study your undergrad there?
I think honestly, they were not all the right reasons. There were a few educationally motivated ones, like I wanted a 4 year degree. I wanted to do some research. I wanted my degree to be mathematically inclined. So that was my reason why I picked a BSc economics degree and not a Bachelor of Arts in economics, rather a Bachelor of Science. But the reason maybe Shiv Nadar was also high up there was because of the way they structured their university, their programs. It was more US like, I would say, in terms of picking credits, having flexibility to pick courses from different streams, different branches. So I remember doing courses from computer science, civil engineering, environmental science. I was just all over the place learning different things. And I also wanted a unique hostel experience and wanted to move away from family. So, and to convince my family that I need to be in a hostel, I need to go to a school far away from home. So that was the
Yeah.
other reason why I picked Shivnadar as well.
Okay. So it sounded like you always knew you were going to study in the US.
That's partially true.
Partially true.
Yeah, I think my motivation for US kind of comes like most people, in the sense that I have a lot of friends and family here. I've seen them work here, I've seen them come here, I've seen them make it big here. So, it's always been like a good path to take as you were going through life. So, kind of always had that in the back of my mind. That is why I made sure that even though I'm not picking engineering like everybody else, I did not want to pick a 3 years degree that might impact a US master's when
Hmm.
if and when I chose to come. So yeah, I did have this in my mind, but I still believe after my undergrad, I was still not sure whether I'm going to come to the US. I did do a bachelor's degree as planned, but yeah, I built like a couple of years of work experience in India. And I think during that time, I really built the resilience to make it here in the US. So yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's so nice to know that you have family in the US. So you're not the only one from your family who has left India.
Yeah, that's true. But when I say family, they're not nuclear family, as in not my
Okay.
brothers or siblings, a bit of extended family.
Okay. So you're the first person in your immediate family to move to the US.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
Makes the journey harder.
cool. But I guess it also makes it nicer that you have extended family there. Like you have people you can call, community, a reminder of home.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's always nice, wherever you go. But again, I would say that family is present, but even the friends I make become family over time, right? Because we all have too many shared experiences. We all have the same struggles we're going through. So there's just a family bond that builds with most immigrants here.
What inspired you to do your master's?
I think it's simply because I went into the non traditional route of not doing engineering like most Indian guys. So, because of that, I felt that I was lacking in tech skills. And I felt that if there was ever a time to learn tech, it's in your 20s. Because after that, it kind of becomes challenging given the pace at which technology moves and things evolve.
Mm,
So I kind of decided that if I'm going back to school, I might as well learn something that will become challenging to learn as I age. So that's the reason why I wanted to pick technology. And I think the other reason why I wanted to move to the US was also because here the schools were more friendly to my background. Like they were okay with me doing an economics degree and applying for a technology masters. Whereas in India it was a bit harder. People were
yeah,
like, "Hey, but you don't have computer science background, you don't have a physics background, whatever, right?" So I
yeah.
was like, "Yeah." So it's becoming harder to get a breakthrough in technology in India. So I realized that moving to US where universities were more receptive towards me, I think that was like one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to come to the US.
Great. And why did you choose Indiana University specifically?
Honestly, even though I wanted to do tech, I knew tech is something that I wanted to leverage for a business purpose, right? Then I
Yeah,
wanted to use technology to solve some problem that had business value and not solve technological problems, because I have never believed that to be my strength or never wanted to be too deeply technical into many things. So I started looking at programs that were semi business and semi technical, wherein we learned technology just enough to get into the business side of things. And there were only a few schools across US that were offering that mix, and Kelley School of Business was one such school. And I think the other reason why Kelley really got my attention is the way they were doing their admissions. I'm not sure if it's still there today. It's been a while. But when I was applying, the program chair used to come back to India to take interviews. And
oh wow.
yeah,
In-person
in
interviews, so not
person.
virtual interviews.
Right. So there was just more of a human touch involved in it, right? And it felt nice to know that somebody cares enough to come down and speak to us. So that way it was nice. And also, funnily, the interview structure was unique and nice in the sense that they were not judging you on what the program expects you to be. They were judging you on what you were, and if you were a good version of yourself. So my interview was more focused towards my history, my experiences, how I excelled, how I try to do new things, how I've constantly been trying to improve, versus, let's say, a guy with a technical background. His or her interview was more deeply technical. Like they were trying to
Yeah,
understand their technical background. And actually, in hindsight, when I think about it, it's funny because when I walked out of my interview, I was like, they did not ask me any technology related questions, so that probably means they're going to reject me or they're not interested in me. But it
yeah.
turns out they were not looking for that, because that's the thing they were going to teach in the program anyway, right? Like they're going to get you tech ready. So I don't need you to be
That's
tech ready. I want you to know if you are ready as an individual to take on the challenges. So they were assessing that. So I just found this approach very unique and interesting. So that's why. And I also had like a Kelly admit very early on. So I was one of the early rounds admissions, I think round one, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, so that's one reason why I've always been motivated towards Kelly.
That sounds really interesting and unique. And I'm sure you were like preparing for the interview a whole bunch of technical questions and all other preparation out of the window. So tell us more about that admission process. Like you mentioned that you got admission quite earlier,
Mhm.
um, before the start of your course. How
Right.
much earlier and when did you start that process of applying to Indiana?
Yeah, you're really digging into the archives here. Let's see. I mean, so I finished undergrad in 2018, and I gave my GRE and TOEFL, those preliminary exams, to get into the US in 2018 itself, because I knew they
Okay.
were valid for 5 years, I think, the scores results. So I just decided to give them immediately fresh out of college. And post that, while I was working at Amazon, is when I started looking up like what are my options, what programs are available, which place is a nice place to study, and things like that. And I think in 2019, June, July, it was around that time when I decided on the bunch of universities I wanted to apply to and my preference and my interests, things
Mm.
like that. And I think I applied to Kelly in October timeframe, sometime around October.
Oh,
And
wow.
I had my interview in the next month, and the results were there by the end of the year. So yeah,
Wow.
and this is for a 2020 admit, 2020 August admit. So 1 year ahead, like almost.
Sure, that takes a long time actually. Like it's a whole process, and kind of what I'm hearing is, try to get ahead of that process
Mhm.
or try to start early. So once you've received admission to Kelley, what were some of your feelings, and what did you do after getting the good news?
Yeah, I mean, just partied a bit bunch for a few days, but no, I think on a real note, I think my family was happy. They were like, okay, this guy wanted to do something, he's getting it, so he's going to do it, so that's cool. But I think the other thing, so my preference, Kelly was in the top, and a few other down the. So I kind of stopped my admission process after that. I was happy with the admit, going where I wanted to go. So I think what I did was after that was getting the finances in place, and I started reaching out to few of the alumni from the college, kind of like reaffirming myself, like, hey, am I making the right decision? Like to seek to like confirm more past experiences, because now I was not reaching out as a stranger. I was in fact reaching out as a potential junior to you, right? So people are more receptive to
Absolutely.
me. So I was kind of reaching out to more people, gathering as much information as I could. And yeah, then I was trying to talk with my family to see how they were feeling, whether they were
Mm.
okay with me going now, or, like how things were. And yeah, other than that, I was looking at the financial viabilities, what are my career options post. So just a bunch of other regular things.
Wow. A whole bunch of things that you have to organize before actually leaving. And I speak to so many students, and that's always the one common thing is, pre-masters, they speak to people. They're reaching out to mentors, people to guide them along that process. Was that quite easy for you to find?
Honestly, I think Kelly made it easy because they have published rosters of representatives, or you can easily find alumni on LinkedIn, people on LinkedIn, and they're so receptive. There is this nice alumni family bond that's there. So the moment you reach out and say, hey, I'm a Kelly junior, people are happy to talk to you, share their experiences and things like that. But yeah, again, it's a tricky situation when you get people to give you their experiences simply because
Tricky?
I mean, it's most of the time relevant to their point of studies,
Mm,
or their point if when they went through college and when they graduated. There is a good chance that what happened to them might not be relevant to you in terms of
absolutely.
economy changing, times changing, political
Yeah.
situations changing. So I'll always try to take these experiences with a pinch of salt.
Talk to us a little bit about the financial aspect of studying abroad.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an expensive affair. More expensive than what we've seen in India, right? Like we don't spend that much on education. Maybe some people do. I'm talking about the average person. So yeah, I kind of realized that after I got the admit, I realized that okay, now I've got to pay big money, and I did not want to trouble my parents because I don't know. It felt like I'm taking a path of high uncertainty, and I don't know what's going to come out of it. Maybe I
Mm,
become successful, maybe I don't. There is no guarantees to this. There's just a lot of hope coming out of this. So I did not want to trouble my parents, and I did not know there were other options to get money, because any Indian bank I approached, they said, hey, we need your parents to sign, or you need to pledge your house, something, right?
yeah.
That's when I ran into Prodigy. Like, I think it was from some person that I was speaking to. He's like, my son did this. You should try check this out. So that's when I reached out to Prodigy, and I think Prodigy was pretty cool and nice that way because they were willing to give me a loan just based on my merit, my credibility, and my potential success value. Right? Like they were not looking at what I bring to the table today. They were looking at what he could make of himself in the future. Like
Mm,
he has an admit from Kelly, so that means he's going to do well, he's going to study well, and he's probably going to land a good job that pays him, so we can fund this candidate. And so Prodigy did that without asking for any collateral, without asking for my parents' signature, nothing like that. So from the lens of my parents, it's like this guy got the admission, this guy got his own money, and this guy's flying away. So I could not be more independent to them.
so tell us about the adapting to a new culture. Were there any kind of challenges that you experienced once you've arrived in the USA?
I would say they were like, I was too coming into the US. I was too focused on figuring out my life, right? Like, how am I going to study? Which courses am I going to do? Which jobs am I going to apply for? It was always about figuring out how to make myself successful. And I had personally never researched about the US. like what's driving like in the US, or what's eating
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what's the culture of weekends like. So I had never bothered to learn those stuff. So every day was a new culture shock to me. Like every different behavior, every different interaction was all new to me. And I think the whole concept of, driving on the different side of the road from where I come from, that was new from the
You're
moment
driving.
yeah.
Are you able to drive on their roads now?
Oh yeah, I've been driving for over 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or what about the food? Was that quite a shock for you?
I think I have been a less spices eater even in India. In
Yeah.
fact, I felt more relaxed eating American food, like not too spicy or not too many masalas in it. And it was
Okay.
fine. I'm not a picky eater, so I can survive. I don't have any major cultural shocks of regarding food and stuff. But I think it was nice in a way because US is this place where there's a culmination of different cuisines.
Mm.
People all over the restaurants bring in their cultures, bring in their traditional foods into this country. So
Yeah.
any city you go, you get to experience different types of foods and cuisines. So it's pretty nice that way, I would say. One of the reasons I also picked Kelly was because of a class of 130, there were only 20 Indian students there. So we had
Oh,
like
wow.
110 people coming from different facets of life, right? And also coming from US and different countries. So
Mm.
it was a nice diverse experience. For every project I did, there's a very good chance that I'll be the only Indian in that team, right? So I get to
Yeah.
work with different people, different cultures.
Mm.
If you mean by joining any Indian organizations like India Network or things like that on campus, I honestly didn't like. I didn't see much value to them, like other than getting to know more Indians and spending more time with more Indians. But
Yeah.
I was coming into the US with the mindset that I've spent 28 years of my life, I mean 25 years of my life with Indians, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, this is my chance to experience new cultures and meet new
To
perspectives.
network. Yeah.
Yeah.
Learn.
I was
Yeah.
doing,
And was it easy for you to find work? Like while you were studying or an internship? What was that like?
yeah, I mean, so this is the part where I tell people that my experiences, take it with a pinch of salt. It might not apply to you. Just because
Yeah.
I got something, you might not.
Yeah.
Things change, too many factors, right? And definitely there's a lot of luck involved in getting the job because you need to be in the right place at the right time. But
Mm.
again, luck doesn't strike unless you keep taking enough jabs, right? So you got to be out there, keep doing your thing. For me, to be honest, I had that luck going into my program. Kelly was a place where there was a lot of companies coming in to recruit. So Indiana University was one of these hub schools where all consulting firms came to recruit. And currently, where I work, Eli Lilly was one of the major recruiters on campus. So we had that situation where companies were coming to pick us up. That was not necessarily true when I spoke with people from other universities. So
Mm.
that was one advantage I had. And I managed to land my internship quite early due to some networking and again being at the right place at the right time. So a lot of luck involved in that as well. And more so for my job, I actually got it on campus, like semi on campus types. So my company came to recruit on campus, and again, I was there in the right place, right time, attending the right career fair, somehow met the right person, right? So I got lucky and things went smooth for me. But I do know a lot of my friends, same school, same program, same experience, who went through a lot more struggles, but they're all happy right now. So I'm not saying so. It's just too mixed, right? So that's why I don't like telling people, "Hey, like life's all good everywhere," because I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like you might, luck might favor you, it might not. But you've got to throw your jabs. You've got to fight it out. So
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's already helpful just sharing your experience. Like
right.
you got the job at the career fair and it was about being at the right place in the right time. And
Yep.
like you said, it's just about luck and networking. There's some learning in that already. Like we're encouraging you to attend career fairs or
Yep.
and to network and yeah, and just be everywhere because you never know when
Right. For sure.
the
Like
opportunity will arise. So you've been living in the US for how long now?
I
From
think it's
2019?
2020.
2021. What's life like in the US? What are you up to these days?
Mostly it's been work. There's a lot of work going around, and kind of just so Monday to Friday is just work, right? Like morning to night, get work, try to find time, go to the gym. Apart from that, there's nothing much exciting that happens. Weekends is usually kind of impromptu, depending on what friends are up to, depending on what I feel like doing, depending on the amount of energy I have. I go out,
Yeah.
meet friends, or if there is any cultural activity happening in my city, or or if I have to travel somewhere to go meet a friend or take part in some event somewhere.
Yeah.
That way, the life's just going on. I've never been a guy who's personally been into too many hobbies. I don't know. People have all sorts of hobbies. I've really not had that many in life. I just have very basic ones. Like I watch a lot of movies. I read a lot of books. Those keep me busy all the time. And that the other free time that I find, I try to hang out with as many people as I can because I'm a guy who loves listening to stories, who loves telling stories. So I like to interact with as many people as I can.
Sounds like you have such a nice life in the US. Tell us about how it was when you needed to find work. So you've graduated and now you need to find a job. What was that experience like for you? And how were you so lucky to be able to get a job after graduating?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that was like a pretty stressful time, right? Like, in the sense, I did a summer internship, and like everyone else, I was hoping that the summer internship converts to a full time job. But
Hmm.
I think towards the end of my internship, the company went on a hiring freeze. So none of us ended up getting return offers. So walking back in is when like you realize that you have a time clock. Like, hey, I'm graduating in the next 5 months. And if I don't have a job, what am I going to do? So that's when
Hmm.
the time clock really hits. And in fact, I think Prodigy loan kind of gave more cushion in that because I think we have 6 months of time before, I mean, after we
Yeah.
graduate to
Yeah.
before.
So 6 months after your end your class end date.
Right. Yeah. Before that EMI thing starts, right? So I think that gave some cushion too. But, there's always still that deadline approaching and it feels like you're running this clock. So you need to move fast. So it's pretty stressful in that way. And I think it took me 3 months after that to get the job offer and
Wow.
kind of relax a little. But yeah, those 3 months are pretty stressful because every day you wake up in just so much ambiguity and chaos. Like, you're not sure what to do, right? You don't know if you're taking the right steps each day you're awake. Like you don't know if applying to 100 companies is enough or is speaking to 5 people on LinkedIn is enough. You're not sure
Hmm.
about what you're doing because you feel that you're not successful, so you're not sure of your actions. So it's pretty stressful, but you've got to keep at it, keep doing what you think is the right thing to do. Speak with people, try to understand their experiences, what we can learn from them, and then you got to keep doing it. But definitely stressful. Like I said, I've been lucky that I had to go through that stress phase much lesser than many of my friends or colleagues I know of.
Where are you working now, if we may ask?
You mean the location?
Yeah, and just kind of the work. Are you working in tech
Mhm.
or what role do you have?
Yeah, so I work in Indianapolis. It's a city which is actually very close to Indiana University. It's the capital of the state, right? And I work for this company called Eli Lilly. They're a pharmaceutical company mostly known for insulin. And right now I'm in their infrastructure team, cloud infrastructure team. I work as a cloud engineer, which is more deep tech than I dreamt of. But I'm like, hey, if I'm not going to do it now, I'm never going to do it ever. So I chose to be there in this space.
Did you know you were gonna be a cloud engineer? Is it something that you wanted to do?
No, if you ask the 18-year-old me, would you ever be in uh, engineering jobs? He would have said, are you mad? I took economics for a reason, right? But it is what it is. I've done many things and now I've chose to do this. So it's been interesting, challenging, learning new things every day. It's been fun in its own way, I would say.
And what does the future hold for you, Eshwar? I mean, I know we can't predict the future,
Mhm.
but do you're still young and you can pivot in your career. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you want to do differently?
Yeah, I'm not sure if my manager is watching my podcast, but no, jokes aside, I would say, like you said, I'm young. I'm still figuring things out. I'm still finding what my passions are, what my strengths are as the days go by. Uh, right now I like what I'm doing. I like
Mm.
the opportunities that are thrown at me. Moving forward, like too many things are moving around which are not in my control, especially as an immigrant. Things like visas, economic situation. There are times when loneliness kicks in when you want to be with family. That different family things comes up. So yeah, I am with you on the same boat. I cannot predict my future. I'm taking
Yeah.
it by the day, enjoying the moment, seeing the different questions life is going to ask me, and then I'm just going to move that
And
direction.
that's all we can do, I guess. Just enjoy
Mhm.
the moments, enjoy where we are now. So,
Right.
Ishwa, Any final words? I know you've given us some beautiful bits of nuggets and learnings. Any final words, particularly for aspiring international students, maybe young males and females from Chennai that are also looking to pursue their masters in the US? Do you have any last kind of words of encouragement or any advice for those students?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any advice per se. I'll just say that any decision you take, whether it's a master's, moving to a different country, whatever you have to do, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, which are mostly should be for yourself. You should know what you want. Just don't look at other people's successes or other people's failures and come to conclusions. Know what you want, pick a path, and you'll definitely make it. So, no worries there.
Thank you so much, Eshwar, for your time. I know it's pretty early for you on a Saturday morning, so I really appreciate you joining us today. And thank you so much to our listeners for tuning in to the International Student Podcast by Prodigy Finance. We hope you found some value in this chat. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this episode, and share it with family and friends. Until next time, bye-bye.